All right, guys, this is the second lesson for week 3. You should have done the review for the last section, giving you an idea of what you know. Guys, we're just trying to do whatever we can to learn the necessary materials for us to be successful next year in calculus and other classes that'll help us also. All right, so today we're going to talk about parabolas. We've done parabolas over and over again in different ways, but what we're going to work on today is being able to write them in HK form and then being able to draw quick, easy graphs. All right, up to now, we've always had parabolas that either open up or down. Y equals some number, my A, parentheses x minus h quantity squared plus k, where my vertex is the opposite of the number behind the x, comma, the number on the outside. Hk is my vertex. My A value, if it's positive, greater than 0, my parabola opens up. My A is less than 0, which is a negative value, it's going to open down. That's the whole idea of the reflection over the x-axis. All right, the new idea is we're going to have parabolas that either open to the right or the left. And instead of y equals, we're going to get x equals. So my formula is going to be x equals a parentheses y minus k quantity squared plus h. Again, my vertex is going to be h, and this time opposite of k. And then if my a is positive, it's going to go to the right. If it's negative, it's going to go to the left, because think of it this way. Down and left are negative movements. Up and right are positive movements. All right, so what we have to be able to do, and not going too deep into it, you got to tell me a vertex, a direction, and be able to draw a graph. To remember what ordered pair for your direction, whatever's in the parentheses, x, the opposite of this is my x value, y, the opposite of this is going to be my k value, hk, hk, hk. All right, so given this formula, I'm going to ask you to tell me the vertex, direction, the opening, and sketch a graph. So y equals 2 parentheses x minus 2 quantity squared minus 3. All right, we said to get my vertex, we're going to take the opposite. My vertex is going to be the ordered pair to negative 3. Because it's a y equals, it either opens up or down. My 2 is positive. My parabola is going to open up. All right, next. How we're going to do it for my vertex. The most important, or my parabola, the most important point on the vertex, I keep saying the same thing. The most important point on a parabola is the vertex. So I'm going to take my vertex, I'm going to put it in the middle of my table. I'm going to take and add and subtract one number, go down 2 and up 2. And we're going to do this quick because you can do this. I'm going to take 1, 0, 3, 4. I'm going to put it in X. I'm going to do my math. And I'm going to get these answers. When we do this, these values should be the same every time. All right, so now I'm going to plot some points. So I'm going to go 0, 5, 1, negative 1, 2, negative 3, boom, boom. And this is not going to be pretty, but it'll be good enough. I'm going to draw the parabola. Oop, ignore that. It's hard with a mouse. And there's my parabola. Pick out the vertex, 2, negative 3, positive value, when it's a y equals goes up. Vertex in the middle, go 2 in each direction, fill it in, plot the points. All right, the second one, it's an x equals, so this one's going to either open left or right. Because it's an x equals, my vertex is going to be the outside number, 2, comma, the opposite, and we're going to say 2, negative 1. Because it's an x equals and this value is positive, we're going to say that it goes to the right. All right, next, we're going to draw our graph, or draw our table. We're going to put the vertex in the middle. Nope. Yep. I'm going to go 2 in each direction. But this time, we don't want to plug into x, we're going to plug into y. All right, we're going to go 2 in each direction off of the y, because I can substitute here pretty simply and be able to do the math. All right, so I'm going to pick y values. I'm going to plug these values in. We'll do 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1. Times a half is a half. Plus 2. I get 2.5, and I'm going to get these points here. When it's an x equals, substitute into y. When it's a y equals, substitute into x. Plot a few points. All right, 4, negative 3. 2.5, negative 2. 2, negative 1. 4, 1. We got something looks like that. Very, very, very ugly, but working with the mouse pad, so it's a little tougher. All right, so given it in the correct form, we have to be able to graph it. All right, now the next part, the fun part, putting it into the right form. All right, so I'm going to go over to my paper and start doing it here. All right, so looking at this, my first thought is I have a y squared, a y, a number, and an x. I need to solve for x. This is going to be a parabola that either opens to the right or the left because I can easily solve for x. So I'm going to move the 2x. 2x equals y squared plus 4y. I'm going to leave a space, minus 16. All right, so hopefully when I tell you to leave that space, we're going to think we're going to complete the square. 2x equals parentheses squared, and we're going to complete it. All right, so remember, to complete the square, it's a y parentheses, half my middle is a plus 2. I square it and put a plus 4, and then I also have to put a plus 4 on this side. I don't want it here, so I'm going to subtract a 4 and get minus 20. All right, so I solve by moving the 2x. I wrote it the other direction just to make it look better for me. I wrote my y terms, I left a space, wrote my constant. I did half my middle. I squared it to both sides, and I brought it back by doing the opposite, and I get this. All right, my next step, I want to solve for x. So I'm going to divide all 3 of these pieces by 2. And I get x equals 1/2 y plus 2 quantity squared minus 10. Now that I have it solved for x and it's in the right form, HK form, my vertex is going to be negative 10, and the opposite, negative 2. It's an x equals and a positive, so it's going to go to the right. All right, I hope we can make the table. Negative 10, negative 2. I'm going to plug into y, go negative 3, negative 4, negative 1, 0, blah, 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 blah. Draw the parabola somehow. All right, it's all about completing the square. All right, so let's look at number 4. Negative 2x squared plus 8x plus 3 minus y equals 0. I'm going to solve for y, which is going to make it a parabola that either opens up or down. All right, to be able to complete the square, we can't have a coefficient. So I'm going to factor the coefficient out of these first 2 terms. And I'm going to leave the 3 as it is. So I have to factor out the coefficient. Take out negative 2 gives me negative 4. Now I'm going to complete the square. Half of negative 4 is negative 2. Squared is a 4. But, common mistake, this really isn't a 4. I wrote a 4 in that spot, but it's really a negative 8. Because it's negative 2 times that. So now to bring it back, I'm going to add an 8 and get 11. When you have that coefficient, whatever you write here completing the square, you have to multiply them, and that's what goes on both sides. My vertex, y equals, so it's going to be a 2 comma 11. A y equals a negative, it's going to open down. All right, all stuff that we've been doing at some point or another. We just got to put it together. All right, the last one. All right, We're going to write the parabola in HK form that has a vertex of 5, 1 and passes through the point 13, 3. All right, so here's our situation. I drew a picture of it also. I have a vertex of 5, 1, a point on it, 13, 3, and it opens to the right. What I want to do is write it in HK form. I already know, well, what I need to know is since it opens to the right, it's an x equals formula. I know my vertex, so I can go x equals a, y minus my k value, which is 1, squared, plus my h value, which is 5. So that's going to be my answer. It's going to be x equals something, y minus 1 quantity squared plus 5. I have to find that something. So I use that. Now I have an ordered pair x comma y. I'm going to plug that here and here, and that's going to help me solve for a. So I'm going to go 13 equals a parentheses 3 minus 1 quantity squared plus 5. Now I'm going to solve for a. And I get my a to be 2. Now I'm just going to plug that here, and there's my formula. That's my HK form. So what's going to be situations? You're going to have to decide which way it opens. It opens to the right, so it's an x equals. This is going to be my h and my k. This is going to be my x and y. Find me a, and use your vertex to write the formula. All right, your homework. Every problem, I'm going to ask you to write them in HK form. Make them look like this. There's 2 problems, and it's written in the directions. One, or I want you to graph 2. One's a parabola that either opens up or down. The other one's a parabola that either opens left or right. Whatever it is, after you write in HK form, find the vertex, find the direction, make me a good looking table, and draw me the points. Not many problems. Just get the point across. We need to know these concepts. So we're not going too deep into them, but we need to have at least an introduction to all this stuff. So next year, we have an idea of what's going on. All right, if you have any questions, please get in touch with me. When you turn your work in, please do it through the classroom. Don't send me emails. I need a trail of it, hopefully on Classroom, so I can go back and keep looking at it. And read the directions. Make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I hope everything's going well with everybody, and we will be talking soon.